Hi, I'm Tom Hine and I'm a consultant partner at Kemp IT Law. This is the fourth and final of a series of talks on DORA, the EU Digital Operational Resilience Act. As I explained in my earlier talks, DORA comes into force in January next year, and it's going to have a really big impact on the EU financial sector. Firms are going to have to do a lot of work overhauling things like incident management and testing and repapering their contracts with suppliers. Today, I'm going to make some practical observations on what firms should be doing to get ready for DORA. As I said, DORA comes into force on the 17th of January next year, so the clock really is ticking. The first thing to do is to work out whether you're in scope of DORA. In one of my earlier vlogs, I explained the in-scope firms, but in short, it applies to EU-regulated financial services firms and the IT services firms supplying them. Anyone who might fall into either of those categories should do an initial piece of work to establish whether they are in scope, and if so, which bits of DORA apply to them. The broad definition of ICT services has been a big challenge for firms. It's not just traditional IT providers who are caught. Data providers may be in scope too, for example. So if you are caught, then the next step will be to do a gap analysis. This is a really important part of the DORA implementation process. Many financial services firms will already meet large parts of the DORA requirements, but they'll still need to do that gap analysis to make sure that all the applicable rules are captured and the necessary changes are implemented in time. Another aspect will be to work out what your critical and important functions, or CIFs as they're called, are. For CIFs, there are extra burdens to be factored in, including additional contractual requirements, policies and so on. Possibly the biggest job of all will be the repapering. DORA is actually quite prescriptive about what a contract between the financial services firm and the IT supplier should actually include. And this will mean renegotiation, repapering of the contracts. Particularly important will be any contracts supporting CIFs. And finally, IT providers should be thinking about whether they are big enough to be deemed critical. If they are, this means they could be regulated for the first time. One of the three main European regulators will become their lead overseer, and they'll be subject to a raft of additional obligations. They could even be subject to hefty fines from the regulator. Now, the regulators have set out various indicators about criticality. Anyone providing services to more than 10% of the financial services market in the EU or to systemically important institutions is at risk of being caught. Potential critical providers should be thinking now about whether they're likely to trigger the thresholds, as it's going to have a major impact on their business. As always, if you need any help making sense of this, please do reach out. Also, we'll be holding a webinar on DORA on the 25th of September, where we'll go into more detail on all of this. Please do sign up for that. And do check out my other DORA vlogs if you haven't done so already.